Just a minute. So we are here today for the qualification exam of Ana Cecília. I'm very glad about her committee. Her committee is going to be Dr. Luciano Oliveira from IMA, and that he's also her co-advisor. The Professor André Pereira Lage from Federal University of Minas Gerais, and Dr. James Lowe from University of Illinois. So I want to thank you all for having accepted the invitation to be here today for ANA qualification exam. The qualification exam is part of the PhD process. She must pass in the exam to continue in her PhD undergraduate course. So she's qualification today as part of the PhD program, and also because I wanna you know each other, because Dr. Luciana, she's from the defense, animal defense in our state, and she is one in charge of the data that we are using, and we are producing some data to support the program, the Brucellosis and tuberculosis control program in the state. Professor Andre, he has been work with Brucella and tuberculosis for several years, and he's a very great partner that we are working in this data also. And now we are, the new one is Dr. Jim that is became joining the team. So I'm very glad that we have this opportunity to you all meet and find some connection today. So first, Anna should give us a presentation of the data. She has about 50 minutes to present the results, and then we can go for arguing her. So can we go with that? I will put you all in the backstage. So Anna will present her date and her document, and then we come back. Okay? We please stay here in the backstage only. Okay? We can hear her from here. We don't need to leave the link. Okay? Okay. Jim, can you hear us perfectly? Okay. So Anna, I'm gonna put your presentation now.
Okay. Give me a second, please.
Okay. And
Okay.
I'm gonna move out from here. We all and let just you here, Anna.
Okay. Just let me know when I can start, okay, please?
Okay. You can go. I'm leaving, but I'll be here.
Okay. So, first of all, welcome everyone. My name is Anna. I'm here to present my qualification exam as part of my PhD. I'm supervised by Dr. Elaine and co-supervised by Dr. Luciana. And the title of this this presentation is the influence of network analysis in controlling disease occurrence. So this presentation will have a general introduction and then the chapter 1 where I will be talking to you about the interface between human and animal brucellosis worldwide, and then the chapter 2 where I will talk to you about the bovide's movement profile in Minas Gerais state in Brazil from 2013 to 2021. After that, we will discuss a little bit the next steps and then the conclusion. So for us to begin here, brucellosis is a chronic infectious disease caused by the pathogen by the bacteria Brucella. And Brucella has some preferential hosts. Some species has their preferential hosts, such as Brucella abortus in cattle, Brucella melitensis in small ruminants, and Brucella suis in swines. Brucellosis in livestock production is responsible for great losses, especially regarding reproductive losses, um, causing as the main clinical sign abortion in females. And after the first abortion caused by brucellosis, the next births or the next pregnancies can produce stillborn or even weak calves. And in males, the clinical signs that can be occurring is orchids and or epididymids, so causing reproductive losses in those livestock animals. The disease is also a zoonosis, which means that it can be transmitted from animals to humans. And in humans, the disease can cause also losses in quality of health and can contribute to daily lives losses as well. So the only way to control the disease in humans is by controlling the main way to control the disease in humans is by controlling the disease in animals. Once we don't have vaccination from humans, but we do have vaccinations in the animals. Animals should be vaccinated, females should be vaccinated with S19 from 3 to 8 months and with RB51 in any age. That are in bovides as I this two vaccines and RB1 in small ruminants. These vaccines are the main vaccines in this species. So the vaccination is one of the methods that we can use to control the disease in animals. Other method that can be used is the test and slaughter of positives, and also the movement control of those animals of the animals. Once we identify the movement and how this movement work, we can also identify points that are also called nodes and edges, that are places that most of the movements occur. So acting those places can facilitate the control of the spread of disease. So as I said to you before, the main way to control the disease is in humans is by controlling the disease in animals. So the main goal of this work here is to provide to you information on brucellosis in livestock animals, humans, and its interface worldwide, and also to describe the data on cattle movement in Minas Gerais state, Brazil, as a first step to develop a network model in order to help on the control of diseases in the state of Minas Gerais. So as I said to you before, livestock production is greatly affected by the occurrence of brucellosis, including the losses caused by the slaughter of positive animals, as well as losses in production of milk, for example. Another thing important here for us to understand is the consumption of raw dairy products and meat, raw meat, is the main route of infection from animals to humans, and also contact with tissues of suspected animals is also a way for humans to acquire the disease, as well as occupational contact, especially in veterinarians, abattoir workers, laboratory workers, and those farm personnels that deal with the animals closely. So for us to understand the situation of brucellosis worldwide, I bring to you here data regarding brucellosis in animals and brucellosis in humans. So first of all, the occurrence of Brucella abortus, Brucella militensis, and Brucella suis together, we have data from 2005 to 2019, and the annual average of animal cases of brucellosis was 124,874 cases a year, of reported cases a year to World Organization of Animal Health. Being America the continent with a greater average, and Oceania with the lower average. Here on your right, you can see the America continent, but a detail here is that only this Latin America is on green. That's because Latin America uh, is uh, is the region with more cases, as I will talk to you later on, and also because United States and Canada did not report any cases of animal brucellosis. So here is the map of the occurrence of brucellosis in animals throughout the 15 years analyzed. And as you can see, America here has great colors, even though I said to you before that the United States did not report any cases. It's because yellow means zero. And now here you have Mexico and you have the other countries of America showing strong color, which means more cases. And also another thing you can notice here is the distribution. The animal brucellosis is distributed worldwide. So regarding specifically the occurrence of Brucella abortus in cattle, we have again America as the continent with more cases being reported, being Mexico the country with more cases, and again Oceania as the continent with less cases. As I told you before, Latin America was, of course, the region of America with more cases. So here in the map, you can see that with more clearance, sorry, where Mexico is, in fact, the country with more cases because the color red indicates that situation. And Canada, you can see there, that is in gray color, and the United States in yellow color. That means no cases reported. Now, regarding Brucella meditensis in goat and sheep or small ruminants, we have Europe with the majority of cases reported as the continent with the greater average of cases, and in Europe, the southern region is the region with more cases reported for Brucella meditensis in goat and sheep, being North Macedonia the country with the greater average. In this sense, in this situation here regarding Brucella meditensis, we can see that Africa reported less cases in animals, in goat and sheep. I would like you guys to uh, pay attention to this information here that Africa was the continent with less cases. I will come back to this in a little while with you. So this is the distribution of the Brucella meditensis, of cases reported of Brucella meditensis in goat and sheep. And as you can see, the majority of cases is reported in Europe, with the countries being with colors with more stronger colors. And regarding Brucellosis in pigs, we have again Europe as the continent with the greater average, Romania being the country with more cases, and Oceania again with less cases reported. So this is the map. As you can see, again, Europe with more reported cases of Brucellosis in pigs. And now, regarding mortality rate, the data is also acquired from World Organization of Animal Health. The data is from 2005 to 2019 as the data of cases, and the total average of deaths a year was 1,446 deaths a year of animal brucellosis. So again, by pathogen, by species of Brucella, we have Brucella abortus in cattle being more deaths reported in Europe and not in America, as was the cases, which can mean that surveillance regarding the occurrence of brucellosis and the deaths that are caused by brucellosis in America could be neglected. I'm sorry. And in Europe, the majority of reported deaths was in Spain. Oceania, once more, was the continent with less deaths reported for Brucella abortus in cattle. So Brucella meditensis in goat and sheep showed us exactly the same path as cases, with Europe being the continent with more deaths reported, and North Macedonia, the country with more deaths reported, as we expected once there was the same situation for cases, right? So remember, I told you guys to pay attention regarding the continent with less reported cases. That was Africa. Now here, when we talk about deaths, we have America as the continent with less reported deaths. So even though America was not the continent with less cases, it is here the continent with less deaths, calling again for the attention on surveillance of the disease and the destination of the animals that were identified as positive for brucellosis. Excuse me. So brucellosis in pigs, the condition is quite similar. However, the country in Europe that reported more deaths was Germany and not Romania, as was before in cases. And Oceania was again the continent with less deaths. Now, the occurrence of brucellosis in animals by continent show us that indeed Latin America was the region in America with more cases occurring a year, being Mexico, as I showed you before on the map, the colored map, the country with more cases a year, and Trinidad and Tobago was the country with less cases in America. For for those for those of you that doesn't know where Trinidad and Tobago is here in South America. In this map in your right, this little map here, and regarding Africa, the country with more cases occurring, more cases being reported to World of Animal Health or the Organization of Animal Health was South Africa, with 4,278 cases a year of animal brucellosis. And the sub-Saharan Africa is also the region with more cases. Africa is divided in North Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. So in this case, sub-Saharan Africa, of course, has had more cases, and the country Burkina Faso and Lesotho was the countries that presented only one case a year. So if you take a look here on the little maps on your right, you can see that Burkina Faso is this first one here up in Africa, and Lesotho is the country that is in the middle of South Africa. So it is very curious to see that Lesotho only reported one case a year, even though South Africa reported 4,000. So that would be, why would that be? Probably because for two reasons, or because Lesotho has a very good control of the disease in animals, or would that be because the surveillance of the disease and the reporting of cases of the disease in animals is not following or not reporting the exactly situation of the disease in animals? I would suppose that the second option is more accurate. Asia reported more cases in the western region, where Turkey was the country that reported more cases. So Turkey is this country here in the big map on your right, and Pakistan did not report any cases throughout the 15 years analyzed. As you may have noticed already, around here, Africa, Asia, and Europe, the countries that we have more cases of animal brucellosis occurring is around the Mediterranean area here. So in Europe, the situation is quite peculiar because a lot of countries are considered brucellosis free. However, in the southern Europe, the disease is still a problem, with Italy reporting the majority of cases throughout the 15 years analyzed, and Malta reported only one case a year throughout this 15 years analyzed. Among the countries that are considered brucellosis free, Malta is one of them, and to have this kind of classification according to the World Organization of Animal Health, the prevalence or the incidence should be less than 0.02% for 3 years. And this 1% here a year is, well, doesn't seem to have that same meaning as the classification asked for. So Malta is here, right beside Italy, and as you can see in the big map here, Italy is in the south of Europe, and Malta right here. Oceania has a total of 152 cases a year reported throughout these 15 years, and Fiji was the country where the majority of these cases were reported. Fiji is inside of this green square here, and Wallis and Fortuna Island did not report any cases throughout these years, and it is located right in the side here of this square, this green square. So now, changing a little bit the subject to humans, talking about the occurrence of cases of brucellosis cases in humans, we have data from 2005 to 2018. So the annual average of cases in humans, according to the data that we had, was 132,884 cases of human cases of brucellosis a year. And the distribution of cases, of the reported cases, is worldwide, as you can notice here in the graph, especially in places where we did not have any animal reported cases, such as Australia here and Canada, for example, even though the color here is more closer to yellow than other thing, but we still have reported some cases in Canada and also in Australia. So in Africa, Kenya was the country that had the greater average of human cases a year. In Asia, Yemen was the country with more reported cases a year. And in America, following the same path as the reported cases in animals, we have as well Mexico presenting the more cases in humans. In Europe, the reported case in humans was not in accordance with animals, but Ukraine was the country with more cases reported. Now, something curious here is about Australia. That was the continent that reported more cases in humans a year, and this can probably have something to do with the fact that brucellosis in humans is associated as well with traveling. So in those countries that I pointed to you before in that colored map that has reported human cases but doesn't have any reported animal cases, can be because of traveling or because of failing in surveillance of those cases in humans. So for us to finish this chapter here, the surveillance in humans is quite difficult once we need quite we need knowledge of the physician regarding brucellosis and its clinical signs. And as you know, brucellosis has no specific clinical signs in humans, which can difficult the diagnosis and the suspicions of the physician regarding this disease, or even ask for a diagnostic test. Additional to that, we have difficulties on diagnostic tests because even though we have serological tests that can be implemented, the gold standard for identification or diagnostic of brucellosis is isolation of the bacteria. And to do so, we need a level 3 security configuration of a lab to perform this isolation. So that's something that it is one thing that can be a difficulty in the diagnostic. So, as I said to you before, eradication and control programs in animals should consider uh, not only vaccination, but also um, the but also test and slaughter of animals that identify as positive. And this condition, this test and slaughter of positives, is not the reality in every single country of the world. Some countries, especially in Africa and Asia, does not use this type of practice. So this can be something. This occur in some countries because of culture conditions, but in other countries just doesn't occur. So that's something else that we need to think about, and we need to act or provide information on how much this can um, influence of the on the occurrence or permanence of the disease in animals. So eradication and control programs other than vaccination and the slaughter of positives can also be implemented by controlling transportation, the movement of the animals, and it is fundamental to control the disease, the occurrence of disease in humans. Once we know, we already discussed, that the main route of transmission to humans and is by consumption and contact with material of animals that of infected animals. So education on consumption of raw animal products such as milk and meat is also an approach that should be implemented throughout the world, even though in some countries this is also cultural. And in that cases, we should implement education regarding the safety of the production of those animal products. Another thing to consider is the alternative methods to control the disease, the occurrence of the pathogen in food, something that we here with one of our projects here in our lab is doing by understanding better the permanence of some pathogens, especially Brucella, on cheese that are made by raw milk, that are made with raw milk. So our second chapter here is regarding bovides movement profile in Minas Gerais state, Brazil, from 2013 to 2021. So the disease control can be implemented, as I told you, acting, first of all, understanding the paths that animal movement can have in some areas. By understanding, I mean identifying nodes and edges that represent significantly places that influence in this movement, meaning that those places concentrate the majority of movement, the majority of uh, animals that came and go to those places. So in those nodes and edges, we can implement effective interventions in order to control disease spread. Um, Here in Minas Gerais state, we have the Instituto Mineiro de Agropecuária, or our official service, as responsible for for dealing with the control of infectious disease and the movement of animals in Brazil as well, and also in Minas Gerais state are uh, are documented by the Animal Transit Guide, or GTA as we call it here, or GTA as the translation of the letters here. So GTA is a document that has information regarding the movement, so origin and destination of the animals, and also the condition of health and vaccination status of the animals transported. So here I brought some information regarding occurrence of brucellosis in Brazil in order for you to understand why this is only one disease. But I mean, we can implement the model, the movement interventions regarding other diseases as well. But here I brought to you information from regarding brucellosis, and also calling for attention regarding the difference between human cases and livestock cases, livestock animal cases. So we have 13,000 cases a year of livestock animal cases, and we only have 108 reported human cases throughout 2005 2018. This is probably because of the difficulties that I told you before, and also is something for us to be concerned about regarding the neglected situation of brucellosis, not only in humans but also in animals. So, following this project here, and based on the information that I just told you about brucellosis, the goal of this work is to determine the bovine movement profile in Minas Gerais state between 2013 and 2021 to support the development of a cattle movement spatial-temporal network model, and consequently build a risk-based disease surveillance in the state, not only to brucellosis, as I told you, but also to other diseases. So the data that we have is regarding the movement of uh, bovides in Minas Gerais state. So Minas Gerais is located in the southeast of Brazil, and Minas Gerais is divided in mesoregions, such as those here in this colored map. Data was from 2013 to 2021. Information that contained in this data was from the GTA documents that was emitted throughout those years, and all those data was given to us by IMA, the official veterinary service in our state. So the variables that we worked with specifically was SETI and number of series or number of GTA that are the identification of the document, the year of emission of GTA, the number of animals transported species. Here we only worked with buffaloes and bovine and cattle. The reason for transportation, the type of transportation, and data regarding origin and destination of animals, which was state, the code for municipality, the local identification, including latitude and longitude of those locals, not only for origin but also for destination. Excuse me. So the data that we received in blocks. So we had the first block was from 2013 to 2016. So this was one data set. And then from 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21 were specific data sets for years, by years. So each data set had different configuration in names of variables and presenting variables. So we needed to work on that on those data sets in order to put them in a similar way, so we can put them together in order to perform a descriptive analysis. So in that sense, we removed some information, especially regarding sensitive information about owners, the situation of GTAs such as if the GTA was for press or was online or stuff like that, information about emissions, how which person emitted that GTA and stuff like that as well, and also the number of animals transported in some data set was presented to us divided by age and sex. So in order to have a final and unique variable regarding that information, such as because some of our data had, like 1 year had only that information, didn't have age and sex, like the total of animal transport, didn't have the more detailed information. So in order to have the same information for each data set, I summed the age and sex of the total to have the age and sex of the animals transported in order to have the total of animals transported by GTA. So the variables were renamed, reorganized, add, and or excluded. Here, so you guys can also understand, regarding latitude and longitude of origin and destination, we only had information, complete information in that sense, for the year of 2018, 2019, and 2020. So from 2013 to 2016, 2017, and 2021, we did not have information on latitude and longitude. So what we did was search for this information regarding the latitude and longitude using the local code of the properties of the farms. We search using this information, looking at the information on latitude and longitude on those data set that we had this information. Or what I mean is looking for longitude and longitude in 2018, 19, and 20, using comparing the code of local of origin on those data set that didn't have this information. Okay, so once we had everything put together and looking similar, we performed the frequency and category distribution of the categorical variables. That was the majority of the variables that we have in our data set. And then for total of animals, we perform a mean, a standard deviation, median, interquartile range, and maximum and minimum values. So the data analysis, we also performed a recategorization of the variable called transportation reason. In that variable, agglomeration was the result of agglomeration with commercial motive put together with agglomeration without commercial motive. Sanitary slaughter was the result of sanitary slaughter and sacrifice. Veterinary care was the result of veterinary treatment and veterinary care. Sports were the result of sport, horseback riding, endurance, and vaquejada. Production was the result of bovine raising, bovine hearing, and bovine cattle fattening. And origin return was the result of return to origin and return from abattoir. Okay, so that was, and also other categories that was not categorized, sorry, that did not participate in the categorization. So all the analysis was performed in R using R Studio with the packages Tidyverse, dplyr, that is part of the Tidyverse, Forecast, StringG, and ggplot2. Regarding our results, we found that the municipality of origin that present most of the GTAs was Frutal. So you can see Frutal here in the map of Minas Gerais state in the first image on your right. This small red thing here is represent Frutal. And then the municipality of destination where most of the GTAs was emitted was to Araguari municipality, that is represented here in the second image. And then the local origin where most of the GTAs was emitted to was to the farm called Boa Vista, that is in Araxá municipality. Araxá is presented to you here in the last map on your right, here also in the Triângulo Mineiro region. The Triângulo Mineiro region is one of the most rich regions of the country, and as regarding production of bovides, according to IBGE, we have that Frutal, the herd of Frutal, in numbers of heads of cattle, is bigger than some regions of the country, such as the central regions here. So this small municipality here has a number of heads of bovines, of cattle, bigger than the central and the metropolitan region of the state. Just is something that can justify the amount of GTAs emitted in this region. And all the majority of movement also happened in this region, as you can see by these results here. So another thing, so we had a total of 8.4 million GTAs analyzed throughout 2013 and 2021, and the majority of those GTAs were emitted in order to transport cattle, as you can see in the graph here. Another thing that we had in our results when we analyzed the number of GTAs by species and by year, and also the number of transported animals by also species and year, we can see that in 2021 was the year with more GTAs emitted, probably as a sign of recovery from the pandemic. And also, regarding species, we have the cattle and buffalo was more transported in that year. Now, regarding the number of transported animals, we can see that according to the total number of animals transported, 2015 was the year with more transported animals. Specifically, the majority of cattle was transported on that year. However, buffalo was more transported in 2021. Another thing I would like you guys to pay attention to is here on the total of animals transported. So 2014, 2018, and 2021 has quite similar results, quite similar numbers of total of animals transported. So here we can see clearly that the situation presented to us here is that 2015 is the year with more animals transported. However, when we take a look on this graph here, we can follow the same situation as the table for the number of GTAs emitted by year. So we can see clearly that 2021 was the year with more GTAs emitted. However, for number of animals transported, this graph can be a little bit confusing because when we look at 2014, 15, 18, and 21, the side of the bars can be a little bit similar. So if you pay attention, like if you don't look very closely, it can seem like they are equal, but they are not, as you could see in the previous table that I showed you. So again, 2015 was the year where the majority of animals was transported. Now, regarding the origin of GTAs, all of the GTAs were emitted for animals that was transported from a farm, that leave a farm to another place. But when to another place, when we when we take a look on the transportation reason and see that the majority of the data showed us that the reason for transportation was production. So the other places that the animals were going to was to another farm to complete the production cycle. So this is concerning when we think about the control of infectious disease, because when an animal goes from a farm to another farm, in the majority of their movement, can mean that these animals can be can be exposed to other infectious disease, or can bring with them diseases to the new farm. So another important thing here is the second reason for transportation is slaughter. That was our first suspicion regarding the reason that we suppose that slaughter would be the first reason for transportation, but as you can see here, production was the first one, and origin return was the third one, which means that not the majority, but the third reason that most animals was transported to was from some event or some agglomeration, which is already a focus of controlling disease and in our state and in the country. And also slaughter, like the abattoirs, are very the identification of disease is performed in the abattoirs daily by identification of lesions and test of suspicious animals. So here, taking a look, looking more closely on the reason or the numbers representing the reasons, we have that that production was again the reason more the reason for transportation that happens more, with the majority of those reported reasons in 2013, meaning that the majority of the animals was transported in 2013 to a farm, from a farm to another farm, and this slaughter was the second reason, and origin return here, as I showed you before, was the third reason for transportation. Regarding the type of transportation, we have that the majority was in fact road, where the animals was transported mainly by trucks. And then we have a curiously result here that 7.24% of the GTAs were emitted for animals that was transported on foot, showing that the transportation should probably be in a distance that can be done by foot, on a foot distance, as we say. So regarding destination, the majority of animals were transported inside of Minas Gerais state, and the majority of DTAs was also emitted to animals transported inside the state. This, with the situation that I just explained it to you before, regarding transportation between farms in the same area, in the same region of the state, call us for attention if we consider, if we consider that to be transported among farms, the animal doesn't need to have a negative test. They only need to have um, vaccination status, being vaccinated if female. Now, the animals need to have a negative test if the transportation is for reproduction, and that's something that I I think we should pay more attention to. Perhaps use this work and other data to try to review this kind of policy if it is possible. So the other information here is that Minas Gerais state uh, had as destination of animals in all of other states in the country, especially São Paulo, Goiás, and Bahia. There are states that are close to that are border to Minas Gerais. So Bahia is this state right above Minas Gerais here, and above the nose of Minas Gerais we have Goiás, and also below here the nose we have São Paulo state. Now, as a conclusion for this data, we can say that the Triângulo Mineiro region was the place to where most animals live to a farm from another farm, and that condition is something concerning when we think about the control of infectious disease. As a next step for our works is to the first chapter analyze the correlation between animals and human cases worldwide, and discuss how this can and discuss these findings in order to provide one more argument for the importance of occurrence in animals, as well as the importance that can mean the more occurrence or the greater occurrence in humans. So, for the second chapter, the development and validation of the network model, will be the development and validation of the network model, considering, of course, the exact place of origin and destination in order to improve the disease surveillance and control in the state of Minas Gerais. So for us to finish, knowledge on the occurrence of disease is the first step to initialize control protocols. Even though the data that we presented here cannot represent or could not represent exactly the exactly situation of the disease, not only animals but in humans, as Lane et al. 2022 study in their work. They said that the condition of brucellosis in humans is not the condition of the data that reported occurrence of brucellosis in humans does not represent the real situation of the disease in humans. So because of that and other situations, brucellosis should go back to the categorization as a neglected disease. As the knowledge of occurrence of disease, epidemiological information regarding local and population and when the disease is occurring more could help, of course, direct resources to the places where the resources are more needed in order to begin to continue to control the disease and to provide resources to places, as I said before, they are more needed. So intervention as well on movement of animals, it has been proven as well to be effective to control the disease in those animals, and also will control the disease in humans. One more step that we have here presenting in this work is one more step to control the disease and eradicate the disease of brucellosis in Minas Gerais state is the model that we are proposing here with this data that we have shown you. So I would like to thank you all for your attention. Thank you very much for being here today. Especially, I would like to thank you, UNFLA, and here represented by my professor, Elaine. Thank you so much for everything. Without you, I wouldn't be here at all. So thank you so much. Thank you, Luciana, here representing Instituto Mineiro de Agropecuária. Thank you for all your help. Thank you, Professor Jim, for receiving me in the close future and for your help with this project as well. Thank you so much, Professor Andre, here representing UFMG. Thank you for all your help, your patience. To all my colleagues from our lab, thank you so much. Your support means the word to me. And my friends and family, I'm so grateful for all of you guys. Thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you, Anna, for the presentation and for being on time. I'm going to ask everyone back, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to remove your presentation and invite the committee back. So again, thank you all for being here, for the participation in this project. As Anna said, each one of you are very important to conduct this project, that we believe that we are going to bring a lot of useful results for the animal defense service in the Minas Gerais state and also in Brazil. So first, I'm going to start with Dr. Jim, because he's the more external member of the committee. Sorry, Luciana, even if you are a woman, I'm going to start with the more external member. So, Dr. James, thank you again for accepting us in your lab, for accepting join us in this project. Your help is going to be very important and essential to conclude our aims in this project. So you can ask questions to Anna about the presentation, about the document. You'll be free. Thank you.
Yeah, so Anna, nice presentation, and thanks for pulling all that together. As I think about what you're proposing, what are the key data points you're going to need to help build the network for an optimized testing strategy? So as you're thinking about experimental design or project design, what are really the key data points you're going to need, and why are those the key data points?
Sorry, can you say the last part of the question again?
And so what data do you need to drive your network analysis to decide where your testing is?
Mm-hmm.
And which of those relatively are more important than others
from
a design standpoint?
Okay. So the more important data that we need to develop the model is the origin and destination of animals, and regarding specifically the specific place from where they came from, such as the farm or the abattoir. And with that specific localization, we can also use as information to perform the analysis, latitude and longitude, in order to geographically point these places on the map. And I guess among all the information that we have in the GTAs, like the document that I told you before, those are the information, the specific information. So this the municipality of the farms or the places, the abattoir or the events, and the geolocality of those places, I believe.
So let me follow up, because I probably didn't ask the question very well. What about the metadata? So you've got the movement data, but the data around the movements, is any of that more or less important? I mean, number, type, purpose of movement, right? So slaughter, whatever. Is any of that more or less important in designing it? Because you're going to use this to design a testing strategy theoretically, right?
Yes.
So is any of that more or less important in your testing scheme, in your data analysis to help you design your testing scheme?
Right. I would not say they are less or more important. They are equally, I would say they are more important regarding the tests, because we need to focus in some places, in some situations, such as I presented here, regarding the reason for transportation. So if I have more animals being transported from a farm to another farm, I should probably take a closer look on that transportation, on that reason for transportation, when I'm talking about testing and when I'm talking about controlling diseases. So I guess when the network model is ready, I get pointing the places, the specific nodes and edges. We should pay attention to those situations that the transportations occur more frequently. So I guess the answer would be, I guess, more important. Those metadata, those parallel data.
Yeah, are there any, given this, what you know about the biology of brucellosis, are there any particular animal classes that you would be more worried or less worried about with respect to movement in testing?
Yes, females, cattle and buffaloes would be the main animal, the main focus of tested. I know they are tested when transported with the condition of reproduction. That is a policy that is implemented here. But if they are transported for other reasons, just for production, as I said, they are not tested for that condition, because of that condition.
So why do we test females and not males?
Well, because females can the risk that they present in the chain of transmission is greater than males, even though males can also transmit to other females by insemination, artificial insemination, and also by natural reproduction. But females, because of abortion and the main clinical sign they offer are greater risk in the epidemiology of the transmission of disease.
In which way? Why are females greater risk?
Because in their because they the way that because of the abortion that can occur, and those abortion can be other animals can be in close contact with those tissues that were aborted, and also by transmission from the cattle to the calf, intrauterine transmission that can also happen, and then the calf will be born weak and having the disease, and this contact with the tissues of those affected animals that can stay on the grass or on the field, and other animals come in close contact can be a source of infection too.
Right. So it's the risk of breeding females and vertical transmission. So it's this old vertical transmission story that we worry about vertical transmission more than horizontal. Right? Does that make sense? So
I guess, yeah.
Right, because now I can infect animals coming. It's not just contact; it's that their offspring are infected at birth, right? So those that survive are infected.
Can also happen.
If I know that, how does that influence testing breeding females, or at least understanding breeding females? How would you use that information in a network model to design a testing strategy, to optimize the testing strategy? Because, right, the limit is if we had unlimited money, we just go test all the animals every day and we would know, right? Like that's the gold standard of like, okay, you're saying, hey, we don't have all the money in the world. I need to design a scheme to maximize the impact of the dollars that I have.
Okay.
So why is that network analysis important to do that?
Because once we identified the places that produce most of those males or have more of those movements, we can act on testing strategies in those places in order to avoid that those animals that can be positive in those places avoid that they go to other places, bringing the disease with them. And we can, I guess that by blocking and by testing those places with more movement and with identified, with the disease previously identified. So focusing on females can help in the sense of saving money, because as you said, we don't have money to like all the money on the world, so we can focus on this class, female in reproductive age, and we can also then also we can focus in the previous stage of production, when these animals are still getting into the space, and so before they get into the reproductive phase, and they are being still transported, they could also be tested in order to avoid the presence of the disease, even though they have already been vaccinated.
Okay, thanks. I'll quit harassing you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. You can also make some comments in the middle of the exam, okay? There's no problem. Okay, Luciana. Yo,
So, Anna,
Hi.
I wrote a lot of comments to do, but Jim asked something that I really wanted to know, because one of the things that I was really anxious to read about, it's the use of the network model to 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 think how we can control brucellosis here in Minas Gerais. So to propose a model to control this disease here, right? And so Jim talked about that. I think that we can talk more about that too, because we have examples of different systems of surveillance here in Brazil, like we have in Santa Catarina, where we don't use B19, the vaccine B19, and just RB51, and those categories of females that we supposed to test. It's very important for our surveillance test model, and we are thinking about that. And we don't have all the money of the world here. So,
Yeah.
but that's okay. We can think together a lot more about that, and Jim can help us with the knowledge of the United States on that field, right? But I wanted to hear from you if you have some ideas why those municipalities like Frutal, Araguari, and Ituiutaba were identified as most common orange and destinations in your data analysis.
Well,
you thought about something?
I mean, I guess I would suppose that is what that happens because they are the place where they are, the region where those municipalities are located, the Triângulo Mineiro region, as I said in the presentation, is a very rich region because of the amount of production regarding cattle products, especially meat. So I took a look on IBGE data and IBGE information, and there I could see that um, that region, the Triângulo Mineiro region, is one of the biggest producers of not only meat but also milk. And there is a paper from our group that analyzed this information, and on that paper, Triângulo Mineiro is also some. I don't remember the word in English, but it is a region of it is a region with expressive production regarding cattle. So I suppose the justification for those municipalities being located on that region is because of that. If I'm not mistaken, on the paper, the majority of farms produced were responsible for meat production and mixture productions, which means milk and meat. So yeah, I guess that would be something to just
Yeah, I think that maybe because we don't have all of the data written in papers, some things we just know because of our experience, right? So Frutal is a municipality that we have the concentration of animal auctions and sales markets in Minas Gerais. So we have a lot of markets there, and that is why I think we have the first reason for transportation, right? The production, but the third reason of GTA emitted was origin return, because it's because a lot of animals they goes to the sales auctions of fairs, but with commercialization of animals, and when they are not sold, they have to return to the farm origin. So besides that, Araguari and Ituiutaba, they have two export slaughter or export oriented slaughterhouses here, and they are inspection by the federal inspection here, and they have a lot of animals going to there. So I think that maybe these things you could concentrate to develop your discussion furthermore when you are writing your thesis. I think that's very important. And just another question. Do you think that the information as latitude and longitude of origin and destination, they are essential for us to conduct this network analysis to propose a model, or we have what we need here with our system of veterinary assistance here in Minas Gerais? What do you think? We need to go after this information, or we can propose something just with the codes of origin and destinations?
I guess regarding the robustness of the location that we are proposing to use in our model, latitude and longitude would be essential, because without that, I know we can have that, but a property can be located in different municipalities, even though we know where it is, but we cannot put in the map. We cannot present that in a more specific way, in a more I would say in a robust way, because
accurate.
Yes, thank you. In a more accurate way, because some properties does it is in different, can be in different municipalities, even if they are registered in one municipality only. So that's why I understand that latitude and longitude are essential in that regard. But
I would like to say to you that we, as the veterinary services here, we need to improve our geolocalization of properties, but we have like 90% of properties now with those information, but we are working with a database from 2013, right? So I think that you are very perfectionist, right? So maybe sometimes I think you should think that we are very limited here in Minas Gerais and in Brazil. So when we think that we have the code of the property, it is excellent for us, because if we know that that property is a node, it's or a hub, we can go to there. So maybe if we don't have the latitude and longitude information, our team can go there and start doing, for example, test and slaughter policies. So I think that is something that I wanted to tell you for a long time, and I think that I already did, because you are so perfectionist, and we will never have all the information that we want. So I think that is important to adequate the data to our reality.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you asked me the question, I was thinking specifically, I mean, regarding the plot in that situation
A
in the
greater
map.
view.
Yeah, but not specifically on the actions, because of course I agree with you. We can adapt our data, and we can with the code of the local of the locality. We can also work once we have those identified nodes and edges. We can present this to the official service, and then you guys can act because you know where the places are. But when you asked me, I was only think about the map. I'm sorry.
And just
But
for,
yeah, I
for
understand.
Jim and Andre and Elaine and you to know, we already have we are working with a hub analysis from Dennis that you two know. It's a colleague from IMA professors that they select the more important properties in the hub analysis, and they our service goes to those properties once for each semester, to the vigilance, to the surveillance of foot and mouth disease. So we already are doing that here, but with another model, right? And it's not an endemic disease, right? So, but that is all. I wrote a lot of comments and made little corrections in your work, and I will send you by email. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luciana. You always have a view different from who are inside, who use the data in the daily. So thank you for the comments, and looking forward to see what you have wrote in the document. So I invite Professor Andre. I want to thank Andre because he's on vacation, and we are going to take some time from him in his vacation to stay with us. Thank you, Andre.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for the invitation. And Anna, when Professor Lowe was asking you some questions, I'd like to add one question. The model that I tried to develop is a model on the transit of animals. And from the risk analysis that we have, which are the main points that can say that the risk for brucellosis in Brazil? Do you remember?
Sorry, I don't think I understand the question.
Which are the two main risks that you picked from the analysis we did on the survey, not the surveillance, but the surveys that you had there? You did some years ago.
Brucellosis, right?
To the
Remember, I
brucellosis.
asked you to look.
Paper from Ana Lourdes. Do you remember?
Sorry, guys.
I asked you, and I said to you, put in your introduction about that because this is important. What are the main risk factors for brucellosis in herds in Brazil?
Oh Lord.
There are two main aspects. One that will depict in the model, that's the transit. And the second one, which one is that?
Oh, come on.
That's the size of the herds. The number of animals have the herd. The bigger the herd, the higher is the.
Yes, it is on your
It's
and on
something that you have to think about
and also in the other
start.
paper. Yeah. Yeah, the number of
Cecilia, it's a very old paper. In fact, it's about 40 years. But Jorge Caetano, Luciana knows him, did a study on the transit of animals in Minas Gerais. It was his master thief, I think. And I think that the reasons are different now, but the most important region for the transit was the Triângulo Mineiro. I think it would be interesting if you could read the paper and also his thesis, because it can add something to the discussion, and it will help you to understand what's happening right now. One of the things that I'd like to point out on the second chapter, I had asked Luciana last week, and I didn't work with the database, but we have seen the day we were helping you that we had a lot of, not a lot, but some of the farms had a very huge transit on it. I think it will worthwhile to check the database, because for some of the herds, I think it's not true the numbers we get that day. You remember, you have something for a year for a herd about 130,000 movements. It's too much. Even if you divide by the number of days, I think it's too high. The one that you presented had about 6.5 movements a day. It's a lot. Then I think you should check the whole data set to see if you don't have anything duplicated or some problems on that.
Okay.
Let me ask some questions about the first chapter. What's your real aim with that chapter?
The real aim is to present the condition, the situation of brucellosis in animals, and in not the real, because as we discussed in the chapter, the real situation is not quite represented in the data that we have, but to present those data, to present the literature that revises those occurrence in animals and also in humans, and to understand a little bit more about the interface between the transmission among animals and humans, in order to call for attention on the diagnostic of the disease in both species, not only humans but also in animals, and to provide information on the occurrence of disease, and also, as I said, call for attention on surveillance and the importance of having a more accurate data and on regarding brucellosis.
All the data that they use in that chapter are from the World Organization for Animal Health.
Not only that, but the data that we explored we explored a little bit of the data that are presented in the literature, and then we compare with the data reported to World Organization for Animal Health.
How confident are you in those data?
Sorry, how what?
How confident are you on that data?
Not very much. Because when we compare with the literature and when we analyzed, especially when we analyze the condition of the disease on the literature, we can see that it is different. And in some parts, the literature report more, in some parts, the literature report less. And also, it's official data. So, in order to have those informations reported officially, you need to have a surveillance system that's quite accurate in order to report those data. So I believe in some countries this happens, in other countries that's not the reality because of a lot of failures. Not I would say failures because it's a strong word, but I would say the surveillance system doesn't work properly, and then sometimes you don't have the right um, diagnostic capability to identify the disease, and that is also the reality for humans. As I cited in my presentation, as I told you in my presentation, there is a paper just published by Lane et al. In 2022 that made uh, mathematical model estimating the cases in humans using the same data as we did, and they say in the paper that the disease is um, subnotified in a great amount and should go back to the classification as a neglected disease in humans.
Well, I asked that because I think you should point out very clearly to the one that's reading your paper or the chapter that you have difference on the surveillance system and for different countries, mainly for Africa and Asia.
Hmm.
And it's quite important, Cecilia, because even for Brazil, if you look Brazil in the Latin American, that you separate Latin America, we
Hmm.
probably have very subnotified here. Uh, Last week, Luciana and I, we were here at Florianópolis in a seminar from the Ministry of Agriculture, and you can clearly see that most of the notification we have is from the south states. That means Rio Grande do Sul, Santa Catarina, and Paraná, where the prevalence uh, it's very low in Santa Catarina and it's low in Rio Grande do Sul and Paraná.
Hmm.
And probably because most of the exams they are trying to. Santa Catarina is a state that they had an education program, and the other two states are looking for that. Then you have to take care on the data that you have on the form OIE because you have some bias there. And you should clearly state for the one that's reading that you represent that bias. And to me, it's not clear how we're trying to model or to make any connection between the data on animal health and the data on human brucellosis. Do you get the data also from the World Organization for Animal Health or from the World Health Organization?
World Health Organization. Yeah.
No, from
No,
OIE. No.
sorry then.
Only OIE have the data from human and animals.
So my mistake. Yeah, both from the same institution, World Organization for Animal Health. Yeah.
Well, in anyway, another thing is for the first chapter, it's it's not impossible, but it would be much easier for anyone to see the pictures, to see the figures. We haven't received them. I think you have already prepared them because you haven't presented them here.
Hmm.
But it's much easier to understand the whole data on some graphs and so on.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't put that on the test for you guys. My mistake.
No, not even the HTML, the dynamic picture, you haven't sent them.
No, that was my mistake. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And,
You should at least show here, Anna, if you had the picture. But it's a nice picture that you can see only in the screen.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can.
by the end of the qualification exam, you should at least show everyone this picture.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. There was was my mistake. Yeah, I should have showed you guys the pictures, and I
It's mistake,
forgot.
but I think it's something that you can add to your final document.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
I think you have a lot to do with the data on Minas Gerais and the animal network. And as Luciana said, we hope that it can help us a lot on identifying the herds that could be at higher risk of brucellosis and even other disease.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Andre, for interrupting your vacation.
No,
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I think I'll have to change to my phone because the battery is running low.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not gonna argue Anna because I'm part of the work and I'm feel co-responsible for everything that she wrote and presented today. But I wanted to make some few comments about what everyone have said. First of all, I wanna say thank you to you all because uh, I believe you have a great team to conduct a very nice work that is going to be useful. I'm pretty sure about that. And then, Andre, you have asked about the first chapter. The first chapter is a chapter that I gave to Anna to construct, to build, but it's very hard because we were trying to show how underreport, how brucellosis is under notificated in the animal side and also in the human side. We want to make, I'm not sure it's going to be possible, some kind of correlation between human and animal data around the world, because we know for sure that disease in animals, it's occur it came first than the disease in humans. So, but even we cannot, if we are not able to construct a model, a correlation between the data in humans and livestock animals, we can give a whole picture of the disease and even the underreporting of the brucellosis around the world. That is, I think, is the main goal of this first chapter. It's a very long chapter. I believe you are all angry with us because it's a long, long, long chapter. But that was the point of this chapter. And I also want Anna to understand better about brucellosis because for her master, she worked with leptospirosis, another disease. So I think she should go deep in brucellosis field. So I asked her to do that as a learning experience for her, to understand better brucellosis, to understand better the disease that she will work in the PhD. And also for the network analysis, that is the core, that is the heart of her thesis. We are in the beginning. We know that we are just doing exploratory analysis at this moment. I want Anna to start working with R because I know this process is not easy for someone that is not used to this system. So the goal were for this chapter in the qualification exam for her to learn how to work in R, to understand better the data that she will work for the next years that are coming, and also to present at least the first picture of this data. How many entries are working, how many variables, how many categories these variables have. And this was the point. I know you are just in the beginning. We could postpone the qualification for when she returned from US, but I really don't want to miss this opportunity to show you all together the data that we have. And I also like deadlines because when you have a deadline, you have to go and find a way to put all things together to present in that day. So that was the point. Anna is going to US in next 10 days. 10 days, Anna?
10
So
days.
10 days, yes. So that was the point. I have to say that we have a very short time to put all this thing together, and all the mistake, as I always said, you can blame on me, and all the hits, all the best things you can congratulate Shanna. So thank you. And now we have to have a private meeting, just a small minute, a few minutes. Jim, Luciana, Andre, and I. Anna, please stay here. And
Yes.
I'm going to put the link for the Google Meet for just for the committee. And we go there. You can stay here if you want in the backstage. And then we'll be back with the results of the qualification exam. Anna, please don't leave, okay? I'm going to remove Jim and Luciana from here, and we can go to the Google Meet, okay? Just to discuss the qualification. Is that okay? Okay. Just waiting for Andre. So, Anna, after a long discussion, we have come back with the results. So I'm going to read the data, okay, the document. As I said to Jim, sorry, because it's in Portuguese and I have to read it as the protocol. So, aos dias 10 do mês de outubro do ano de 2022, às 13 horas, sob a presidência de Elaine Maria Seres Dornelles e com a participação de Luciana Faria de Oliveira, James Lowe e André Pereira Lage, reuniu-se a banca de qualificação de Ana Cecília, Trolesi, Reis, Borges, Costa, discente do curso de doutorado em Ciências Veterinárias. Após apurados os resultados, a qualificação foi aprovada com nota 89. Para constar, foi lavada a presente ata, que depois de lida e aprovada, vai assinada pelos membros da banca examinadora. Então, parabéns, Ana. Agora os próximos passos. A palavra é sua.
Obrigado. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Luciana. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Professora, for everything. Thank you, everyone that is watching as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's time and everyone's efforts to help me here. I'm very happy. Thank you so much.
So again, I want to thank you everyone for being here today, for the participating in the ANA qualification exam. It's an honor to me having you all here and make this great team to conduct her PhD work. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Congratulations, Ana.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Parabéns, boa viagem, né?
Obrigado.
So, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.